Hello and welcome to iLearn Review Day 14. Today we're going to take a look at transformations, reflections, translations, rotations, and dilations, and the combinations. We should be working on problems 133 through 143. This will complete the iLearn review. So if we look at problem 133, it says reflect across the y-axis. Everything that I write in red you do not need to write. So the y-axis is this line here. And so the u is 1 away from the line. And so we're going to put the new u 1 away from the line. So we're going to put a dot there, and we're going to title it u prime. And again, everything in red you don't have to put. And so the v is 1, 2 away, so 1, 2 away. We'll put a dot there, and we're going to title it V prime. The W is 1, 2, 3 away, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3 away, and we'll put the new W, we'll call it W prime. Again, the things in red you did not need to write. And so make sure that you connect your lines. And what it should look like is you have the same exact shape. The only difference is your shape has flipped over the y-axis, which is why sometimes instead of being called reflections, these are called flips, because the shape flips over the line in the exact same size. It's congruent to the shape that it was before, which means the same size. Looking at problem 134, we're going to again reflect across the x-axis this time. So this is the x-axis. And so you kind of do the same thing, except for you're going against the x-axis. S is 1 away. The new S is going to go 1 away up here. And so we're going to title it S prime. Again, you don't have to write the things in red. P is 1 away from the line. It's 1 away from the line. We put another point. We label it P prime. Q is 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm sorry, I miscounted there. It is 3 away. And so then we go 3 away on the other side. 1, 2, 3. And we label this as Q prime. We do the same thing for R. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And R goes right there. We label it as R prime. Again, the things in red are not necessary to write. And so make sure you reconnect your shape. And it should look like your shape just folded over that x-axis. So same shape, it's again congruent, same size as the shape before. For problem 135, there's a couple different ways to do this. The way that most of you learned is you're going to need a piece of wax paper. You're going to start by tracing the origin. I would also trace the corners as well. It helps you line the shape back up. And then make sure you put your points in here. And so I always label mine I, H, G, and F. Now with your wax paper, you're going to turn the shape 90 degrees counterclockwise. Remember, counterclockwise means they go backwards, opposite of the way the clock turns. So we're going to turn this so that it goes this way one time on the origin. We want to make sure we line back up. What should happen is you should end up with your shape in its new location. Now, you'll have to lift up your wax paper and put these points in, but make sure that you connect them again. And so this is H prime, this is I prime, this is F prime, and this is G prime. And so what happens is none of this stuff will transfer over to your paper because you're doing it on wax paper. For 136, you're going to do a rotation about the origin. Now, there is a bunch of different ways to do this. I actually like to do this a little differently for 180s. So I list the points for 180. I go J, G, H, and I. And so then I just go through and say J is at -3, 0. G is at -3, +2. H is at -2, +4. And I is at 1, 2. And then here's what I know for when I'm doing 180. G, list your points again, but this time we're going to put them with prime signs. And so the numbers themselves, not the negative signs, the numbers themselves are going to stay exactly the same. So this is going to stay 3, 0, 3, 2, 2, 4, 1, 2. This is the part that changes. If it was negative, it becomes positive. If it was positive, it becomes negative. So -3 is going to become +3. 0 stays 0. -3 becomes +3. +2 becomes -2. -2 becomes +2. +4 becomes -4. 1 becomes -1. 2 becomes -2. And then I go through and graph them. So 3, 0 for J is right here. And I put the prime. And G prime is going to be 3, -2, which is right here. H at 2, -4, right here. And then I at -1, -2, right there. Again, if you've not learned how to do it this way, you do not have to do it this way. You can absolutely still trace the origin, and then you can turn it if you want. What should happen is if you turn this 2 times, your points will line up. See how they line back up? So there's 1 time, that's 90 degrees. And then a second time, should put them in their correct locations. All right, looking at translations, it says 1 unit left, 6 units up. So what I do with this is I'm going to go 1 left, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the new S is going to go right there. And I do that for every single one of the points. So I'm going to do the same thing. 1 left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Same thing for R. 1 left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Make sure I label them. Make sure that I connect them. You really should use a ruler to make sure that your shape stays the same. Again, these are congruent images, so it should be the same. Same thing for 138. You want to go 3 units to the right and 5 units down. So I'm going to trace this and show you what it looks like doing it all at once. So this is x prime, w prime, z prime, and y prime. And if I do this correctly, we're going to go 1 unit to the right, 2 units to the right, 3 units to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, and you can always double check. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You should have a congruent image where it's the same shape, just moved across the graph. Now we're going to look at dilations. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to graph these points. So 2, 2 is right here. And 2, 6 is right here. And 6, 2 is right here. We've created a right triangle. You can connect them. And I'm going to label them A, B, and C. Now, when you're dilating by a factor of 1/2, you can multiply by 1/2, or you can simply divide by whatever the denominator is, assuming that the top number is a 1. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And 6 divided by 2 is 3. And 2 divided by 2 is 1. So our new points, 1, 1, I'll do it in red so we can see it better, is right here. We're going to label it A prime. 1, 3 is right here. We're going to label it B prime. And C prime is going to be 3, 1. It goes right there. Connect your points. You should have a similar shape, not congruent this time, to the one before. And so a similar shape. And in this case, since it is a fraction, you're getting smaller. The same thing's true for this one. You're going to graph them. So 3, 3 is here. I'm going to go ahead and label it A. Negative 3, 3 is here. I'm going to label that one B. 3, negative 3 is here. Label that one C. And then negative 3 is here. I'm going to label that one D. Connect them. You should have a shape that looks something like this. And then the same thing, we're going to divide by 3. So 1, 1, negative 1, 1, 1, negative 1, negative 1, negative 1. And so 1, 1 is going to be here, which I'll do in red so we can see the difference. Label it A prime. Negative 1, 1 is here. We're going to label it B prime. And 1, 1 is 1, negative 1. I forgot my negative sign up there. Be careful about that. It's going to be here. We'll call it C prime. And then negative 1 is here. We'll call it D prime. And again, you should have a similar shape this time. Same general shape, but this one's much smaller because we have a scale factor that's a fraction. Looking at scale factors that are whole numbers, your shape should get bigger. So we're going to start by graphing the original. So 2, 2 is here. We'll call that A. Negative 2, 2 is here. We'll call that B. And then 1, negative 1 is here. We'll call that C. And so our shape this time should get larger because we have a whole number. And so we're just going to go through and multiply by 4. And so 4 times 2 is 8, still 8. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. 4 times 2 is still 8. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. And then you go through and graph them. So 8, 8 is actually off the graph. So if we just consider it for a second, 8, 8 would be somewhere about right in here. And then negative 8, 8 would also be somewhere right in here. And then, so that's A prime and B prime. And then 4, negative 4 would be over here, C prime. And then you would connect them. Unfortunately, this is off the graph, but it should still be a similar shape. It's just not a congruent shape. So you may consider changing this from 4 to 3 so that it will fit on the graph. Looking at this one, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to graph the points first. 2, 1 is here. We'll label that A. 1, 3 is here. We'll label that B. And 3, 2 is here, and we'll label that C. Again, we're going to go ahead and connect our pieces. Scale factor of 3 means we're going to multiply by 3. 2 times 3 is 6. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 3, or 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 2 is 6. And so we go through and we go, okay, 6, 3 is the new A. So A prime goes here. B is 3, 9, so 3, 9 is here. Label it B prime. And then 9, 6 is here. We label it C prime. Again, you should have now a similar shape, just not congruent. And you'll just notice how the scale factor was a whole number and the triangle got larger. Now this is a combination. So we're going to start by graphing these points. 1, 1 is here. We'll label it A. 1, 3 is here. We'll label it B. And 3, 1 is here, and we'll label it C. Go ahead and connect our points. So the first thing it says to do is dilate by a scale factor of 3. So which means we're going to take all of these and multiply by 3. So 3, 3, 3, 9, and 9, 3. Now I'll do it in red. So 3, 3 is right here. We're going to label that as A prime. And then 3, 9 is here off the graph again. This is B prime. And 9, 3 is here, which is C prime. You're going to connect them, and you should have a dilated shape. This time it says to translate down 4, and we're going to translate just down 4. So we're going to take this whole shape and move it down 4, which I'll do in green so we can see better. So it says translate down 4. So A is going to go down 4. So A is going to go right here down 4. It's going to become A prime prime. B is going to go down 4. So 2, 3, 4 right here. It gets called B prime prime. C is going to go down 4, which is right here. It gets called C prime prime. Notice how I've moved the shape twice. It now has 2 prime signs after the original letter. Now it says to reflect across the y-axis. So this is the y-axis. So A is 3 away, so we're going to go 3 away on the other side. We're going to label it A prime, prime, prime. And B is 3 away. We're going to go 3 away on the other side and label it B prime, prime, prime. C is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 away. So we're going to go 9 away on the other side. 3, 6, 9. Off the graph a little bit, one space. We're going to call it C prime. Actually, we're going to call it C prime, prime, prime. So we've moved the shape 4 times. Your final shape should end up over here on this side of the graph. This is your final destination right here, the one that's highlighted in pink. This completes the iLearn review day 14. It also completes the iLearn review as a whole. Please make sure that you fill it out and turn it in to your success teacher.